Welcome to Play Misty for You. I said that Fridays were going to be mail day, but you know what? I forget that I do these Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. I don't do them on Friday night. So we are going to have our mailbag for Play Misty for You. Okay, my first email says, I'm realizing I have a handful of friendships where I do all the emotional labor. I notice their feelings immediately, but they don't seem to notice mine. My question is, how do you tell when a friendship has quietly turned into caretaking instead of mutual support? Well, very nice question, Heather. I don't relate. I don't relate in the doing all the emotional labor. My advice would be to stop doing all the emotional labor and see what happens. Let the chips fall where they may, or don't do all the emotional labor and check and see how you feel about not doing the emotional labor in the relationship. Because in my experience, the people who hold too much on their plate of other people's dramas and chaos are usually getting something out of holding all of that on their plate as well as the people who are offloading it. It's usually a win-win for all parties involved until you're doing some growth and realizing that you don't want to be in that same situation. And the great thing about doing growth is you get to treat it all like a science experiment, because otherwise you would be unconsciously just doing the same thing over and over and over again and wonder why you're getting the same result over and over again. So any disturbance that you can make in the fabric is going to cause a ripple. And that's great. It's great. I like it when I get introspective about patterns or habits that are no longer serving me. Then I can observe. I'm still doing it, but at least I'm being observant. That's what I would say. That is being the kindest to myself. When I can say, okay, you realized it, but you're still doing it, but that's okay because you're aware of it now. I'm not doing it unconsciously. And from there, it usually begins to wear on me till I'm not doing it. I just thought of something being kind to myself, and it reminded me of one of the first times I really observed being kind to myself. And that was my trip to Paris my solo trip. And it was the one that I'd been wanting to do my whole life, and see the address on the medallion that my mother had on her wrist forever and then I had on mine, and to be in person and to go see the Louvre, and all growing up from my mother and her living there, and how, no bread tastes the way the baguette as she waited for the bus would taste, and on and on. So I finally take myself to Paris during, I think it was 2022, maybe 2021. I immediately get off the plane, walk out, and there's a taxi line with a long line of people and their luggage. And then there's all these men in hats and ties and suits, and they're holding up signs with all the names. One of the men in that line looked at me and said, "Would you like a ride?" Yes. I take my luggage, or he takes my luggage. I'm following behind him, and I'm looking at that long taxi line thinking, so smart. I've only been here 20 seconds. I have bypassed the taxi line, and I have gone with one of the gentlemen that were holding up signs, whoever they were. So I get to this man's car and realize, as he puts my luggage in the trunk and as I slide into the back seat, that I did not get this car on an app. There was no taxi sign above him. I have just put my luggage and myself in a car with a complete stranger, and no one knows where I am. He starts driving, and I'm like, "Where is your taxi or like, who's your boss? Or he's like, no, it's fine. I give him the address where I'm going and we start riding, and I do the Google Maps on my phone too, and I'm following the blue dot. Just as I'm with him, his phone rings. It's a FaceTime from a very unsavory character who's yelling at him in French, and he's yelling back at him in French. I'm too old to be sex trafficked, so they must want my luggage. All I could think of is that bracelet, my gold bracelet with the charms, and how I wanted to protect it. So I'm watching the blue dot go on the way to where I'm supposed to be staying until it veers off the highway. Okay, this is it. It veered off the highway. He goes to a gas station. I jump out of the car and throw my arms around the back because I'm trying to protect my luggage. Then the guy comes out and he ends up just taking me to my place, and he charged me the right amount because I did check what the right amount would be and everything was fine. But I got in that Airbnb, was so traumatized at how quickly I disregarded all my rules of safety and protection, and how I had read everything about pickpockets and the subway, how to have your bag, and yet immediately got in a car with a stranger. I was scared to go outside, but I did because it was when I first was beginning to practice the ACA stuff. I just said, if you stay in this Airbnb for the next 5 days and you never leave and you order in food, you were in Paris, and that's fine and that's okay. And you don't have to leave. And it relaxed me and gave me permission to kind of feel my feelings collapse, feel what it felt like to finally be there. And I think I got out a few hours later and went and tried the subway, which that was another traumatic experience. But all of that to say that sometimes the best thing you can do as you're learning a new behavior, a new experience, being in a new country, whatever it is to have kind self-talk. Be kind to yourself. What is our next one? Hey, Misty. I always think I've matured until I get around my family, and suddenly I'm 12 again. Welcome to the club, Marco. Why does emotional growth disappear around the very people who created the patterns? Well, they inserted the chip, and so they know exactly where the button is located. And it makes sense that, especially all I'm learning in ACA about how much of my adulthood is affected by my childhood. Which, by the way, I grew up, wild upbringing, went to therapy, practiced principles, all kinds of things, did all the things, and would have told you that my childhood no longer was affecting how I was operating in the world. And yet, come to discover, so much of my childhood was affecting how I was operating in the world. IFS is really good, internal family systems. It's pretty much the same thing. It's about self-talk and talking to the parts of yourself, whereas ACA does a little more inner child, inner teenager, critical parent, but it's all talking about a relationship with our internal self affects the outside world. So if I was, let's not say brainwashed, let's say hypnotized by a parental figure who told me falsehoods in childhood, it's understandable that I'm still believing that in adulthood. The more grace that I give myself, the more grace I can extend to family members that cause me to shrink into a 12-year-old child's response. The more I can observe is a really good tool and trick that I've never been good at. I was so I admire people who have the disposition where they walk into a situation and they can observe the party that's going on and observe the players and have a more detached experience when in a social setting. My ammo used to be to go in and try and explain to everybody who I was within 10 seconds. So, and also admit a bunch of faults up front and just, give all the underbelly. Because if you can handle the underbelly, then I can be back up and get the pats on the head, right? So yeah, one of my goals is to learn to observe more. And sometimes, especially when I'm practicing the ACA principles in these situations, in these uncomfortable situations, whether it's family members, coworkers, friends, I can observe that everyone is operating a little bit from their childhood. So the mean boss looks like a mad 8-year-old, right? The over anxious mother figure at Thanksgiving looks more like a teenager who is overly responsible for her surroundings. I can sit in amusement at everyone reenacting their parts instead of just subconsciously reenacting my part in the situation. Have I gotten there yet? No, but it really sounds ideal. I really want to do that kind of thing. Okay, this is from Montreal. Look at me. Now we can say that this is international. It says, Misty, I have a fear that if people really knew me, they wouldn't like me. Okay. Well, Montreal, I think that is, I don't want to say it's a healthy fear, but it's definitely a normal fear. What that says to me today is a solution would be to like yourself. Work on the relationship with yourself. Have some journal time. Write down some ideas of places that you want to go and go to them on your own. The Artist Way has a thing that's called the Artist Date, and it's where one day a week while you're doing the Artist Way, you take yourself on a date and no one else is allowed to go, and you have to get out of the house, and it's, go to a museum, go to a nice restaurant on your own, go to a botanical gardens. Okay, you're going to have to Google. I can't help. Plan your personal date for you. However, I will say that developing a close, comfortable relationship with yourself is a key to allowing other people to have their opinions of you. And the sad news is they're not really thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. Everyone's thinking about themselves, and they're going to give a little 4 or 5 second thought to your circumstance, maybe good, maybe bad. But at the end of the day, they're concerned about their welfare, their safety, their joy, their love, and you should be too. So develop that relationship with yourself so that that's your anchor, that's your home, that's your place, a place that you can go within yourself and be at peace no matter what chaos is going on around you, a place that you can go whether you're being praised or vexed. I'm totally, absolutely plagiarizing at this point, although be it from the top of my head, from a plaque that sat on Dr. Bob's desk about humility. And that plaque, that passage has always given me, it really is Dorothy, Wizard of Oz at the end of the day. I mean, that is the metaphysical representation of the journey, which is you can meet all the people, go to all the places, you can find out what's real, you can find out what's faux. And at the end of the day, are you in your own corner? Are you willing to not abandon yourself? Are you willing to be true to yourself? And let people think whatever the hell they want to think. That is the sweetest spot. When I'm comfortable in my own skin and true to myself and care about myself, and I wish everyone love and peace, and I need other people, but I don't need them so much that I'll abandon myself for it. Okay, this is our last one. I'm noticing a disturbing pattern every time I set a boundary. People I've enabled for a decade have the nerve to get upset about it. Uh-huh. Yeah, no, if you especially if you've been a people pleaser and then you start setting boundaries, that is not popular. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like it when my people pleasers start setting boundaries, but I know it's good for them. I know I want them to. But yeah, that is completely accurate. If you are making changes to take more care of your own peace of mind, and it will affect the access that others have just easily had to you, it's going to be a bumpy road. It's going to be a bumpy ride. There's no way around it. And yet, don't give up because it's part of the process. And I would take people being upset with me taking care of myself as a sign that I'm on the right track. Like, oh, I must be doing something right. That person's not thrilled that I am setting a boundary. Excellent. Brilliant. I'm doing something right. I have been watching Victoria on Netflix. It's the Masterpiece Theater one. I have been watching I think I'm in 1815 basically. I am in that world. I am yeah. If there's any responses that I'm giving in this sleepy Sunday state that are too royal in nature, by all means, I beg your pardon. I only mean to, yeah, we've gone off the curtsy deep end over here. And I look forward to more questions, more time with you. Play Misty for you. As always, our sponsor is otisinc.la.com. It is the only place that you need to go to get your European wheel parts. They're always use code MISTY today to upgrade from ground shipping to 2-day air shipping. That is Misty, MISTY, the number 2, DAY, for your free upgrade from ground to 2-day air when you purchase and use that code at checkout. All right, send me your email questions at pmfy@mistymcphee.com and I will answer them next Sunday evening, it seems like. Until tomorrow.